is almost the weekend, and if you're one of these Americans who are going to be impacted by this weekend storm, one of these Americans, one of us.
Yeah, we are, because it's a storm that goes right across the country.
Right across the country. We've got some stuff for you to watch. Sit tight.
If you're into a TV adaptation of a graphic novel, the return of a Star Trek series, or a documentary about an infamous music festival, we have something for you. So here to walk us through all things latest streaming is Krutika Mallikarjuna. Is joining us. She's the senior editor for TV Guide. Okay, so we got into this robust conversation about the doc.
Yes.
But are we starting with that? Hold on, I got to get through my scripts.
Deadly Class.
No, we're starting with Deadly Class. Okay, first off, we have Deadly Class, which is an adaptation of a graphic novel. Let us take a look.
The school trains creative problem solvers to master the deadly arts.
Meet Marcus, the new rat.
Welcome to King's Dominion.
Rain check on the celebration. You're at the bottom of the food chain, like us.
Looks pretty good.
It looks so cool. Everyone looks so cool in this.
I know. So take us through this. Deadly Class. It's based on this graphic novel.
It is
very popular.
It's very like punk rock, set in the 80s, kind of like twist on the high school, your classic high school tale. You know, you have all these kids who are trying to come of age, trying to find themselves, and they're finding their way in a world that is the worst version of it. And it's really interesting to see how they like band and gel together while they're learning all these like, you know, high octane ways to kill someone. And if this isn't normally the kind of show that would appeal to you, I would recommend checking out at least a few episodes, because my girl Lana Condor is one of the main characters. So if you saw her into All the Boys and like you want to check out like, does she have the range?
Yeah.
Watch Deadly Class, because she has the range.
Okay. All right. Next up, we have Star Trek Discovery. It is back for its second season on CBS All Access. Here's a clip.
There is a great responsibility at hand. This could be the defining moment for multiple civilizations, millions of lives. The future may be determined by our actions, yours and mine.
We're really on the other side of the looking glass now, aren't we?
So, Krutika, you know that the first season, I loved it because I'm a Star Trek nerd, but there were some bumps with the first season. I was at the premiere last night. We got to see it, the first episode of the second season on the big screen. It looks amazing. It's kind of almost a bit of a reboot from the first season.
It is, and you know, I wasn't sure how I felt about them bringing characters from the Enterprise into the second season so soon. I was like, I want more time with just this crew and to find out why they're special. But I gotta say, the way they're bringing in Captain Pike and Number One and eventually Spock, the journey seems like it's gonna be really worth
It's kind of interesting because, Anne-Marie, you know, what's interesting is Anson Mount plays Captain Christopher Pike, who was the first captain of the Enterprise in the series, the original series. The very first show. The next show, after the pilot, it was William Shatner who played Captain Kirk. So everybody always wondered, what happened to Captain Pike? Now we know.
So he has a backstory?
He has a backstory. He joined the crew of the Discovery, and he was no longer on the Enterprise. So, and Anson Mount, he was amazing. I met him, I was talking to him last night. The show's gonna be great. It's gonna be a really awesome season. Did you agree? What did you think?
I love Star Trek. I'm also a huge Star Trek nerd. So like watching the premiere, I was like, man, wow, I just can't believe how excited I get every time it starts again.
Yes.
It's like built to be sort of a fanficky type of show where you're like, the more reboots or the more versions of this, the better.
Plus, super diverse. I mean, I just gotta say that before we go. The cast is amazing. Sonequa Martin Green leads it. First time an African-American woman in the lead. Great show. All right, you've been...
All right, so well, we all started talking about this week. He says 2 documentaries on the Fyre Festival. I think we were not cool enough to, like, know about it beforehand. Or maybe you were. You got an invite? Okay, he was cool enough. I only found out about it when I was reading about what a disaster it turned out to be. But let's just take a look at this.
American rapper Ja Rule is in the Bahamas with his business partner.
Billy McFarlane
is an amazing entrepreneur.
He can convince anyone of pretty much anything.
They just bought an island. Pablo Escobar's island. Oh my gosh.
Ding! We're gonna throw a festival, yeah.
Within 48 hours,
they sold out.
I don't know how many people remember the Fyre Festival, but it was supposed to be, you know, this island in the Bahamas, I think it was, right? It was going to be this great festival. Everyone was beautiful. It was sort of, they did this major Instagram push with models, and if you just paid the right price, you could come party with the best-looking people in the world. And then it all like went to crap almost immediately, and all that good stuff that was on Instagram suddenly turned to horrible stuff on Instagram, where people were showing the gourmet food was like a cheese sandwich and just like
so
it fell apart.
There are
In
two
fact,
docs.
and one of the organizers went to jail over it.
Yes.
So there are two docs. Break them down for our viewers.
So the Netflix one, in my opinion, is the better documentary because it gives you a very concise, beautifully edited timeline of like how Fyre Festival started and like at each single point of the planning, the 4 months of planning, where people tried to tell Billy McFarland, the CEO of Fyre and Magnesis, that it wasn't feasible. Like people with experience that he had hired to event plan were like, this isn't gonna be possible, this isn't gonna be possible, this is gonna be possible. And the moments captured on tape in that one are wild because it's him just being like, put a positive spin on it, it'll be fine. I'm like, wow, that's not how you deal with national import taxes. You can't just hope for the best.
And there's a problem with the Hulu one, journalistically speaking.
Yes, so there's problems with both of them. So the Netflix doc is co-produced with Jerry Media, who is the same marketing company that shot all of the marketing materials for Fyre Festival. So people are like, oh, of course the footage is beautiful, and you have all these like great, deep behind-the-scenes cuts that you would normally never get otherwise, but they're like, it's kind of not tough enough on what the social media side of this was. The Hulu documentary is not as beautiful, it's not as concise, but it's a broader look at Instagram culture and like a takedown of influencer culture overall. But they paid Billy McFarland for the interview, for that exclusive interview.
At least it's alleged.
It's,
They've said that they paid him, but we don't know how much.
They won't know how much, but I do know that Chris Smith, the director of the Netflix doc, said that he offered up to, or Billy had asked for $125,000 to appear in the Netflix doc, and Chris Smith said no, so the Hulu doc is probably a comparable rate.
He had some legal bills to pay.
Yeah, exactly.